office hours. Today's topic is going to be title writing and iterative testing. Like I always like to say, a few important things to keep in mind. First and foremost is calls are recorded. If you haven't already checked out the Data Dive YouTube channel, there's a playlist where everything is going to be. We're still working on the edit from last week, but I think that's going to be live probably today, if not tomorrow. Second thing I always like to say is I know a lot about Data Dive, but I certainly don't know everything. So if you ask a question during Q&A and I'm not sure what the answer is, I'll be honest, I'll be straight up, and then we'll follow up with you afterwards. And then the last thing on here, I'm really excited. Our designer, Natasha, is just going through. We created a new knowledge base. We have 14 different modules which walk through kind of like step-by-step text guides with screenshots showing you how to use every part of the tool. So all of those articles are ready. We're just getting it uploaded into the platform, and you're going to start to see those articles. They're going to be ready this week. We've been working on that for a while, and that's just the start. There's going to be a lot more SOPs, kind of like how-to articles that are going to come out of that I think everyone's going to find super helpful. So today's agenda for office hours, as always, we're going to spend the first 15 to 20 minutes going through some teaching, and then we'll spend the rest of the time on Q&A, 40 minutes plus. So I'll stay around as long as anyone has questions. And I do want to reiterate that questions don't only need to be about title writing. They can really be about anything. As well, you're going to notice I've got this QR code in the background. You can scan this one here on the screen. We're really trying to get a lot more feedback in terms of the presentations we're doing. So this is on the Data Dive side and also on the Seller System side for our master classes. So every month we're going to be picking random winners to win prizes. So the survey is only 4 questions. It literally takes like 30 seconds to fill out. It just helps me get a gauge of what we're doing well, but more importantly, what are the things that we're explaining that you're not understanding? So at any point, and I'm going to show you this again at the end, this is like a huge personal favor to me. If you could scan the QR code, fill out that survey, and then there will be prizes every month that we're going to give out. So let's jump into the topic today, starting with title essentials. So some of these things you might have seen before, but I'm going to still share them because I find it's really important to understand the overarching premise of how Data Dive works to help you write titles. And so what you really have to understand about Amazon's ranking algorithm is that it is impossible for Amazon to rank you on thousands of keywords. Like it can't wait for these relevant actions to come for every single keyword that you're ranked for. So with just one action, right, Amazon is going to attribute credit into all of these different, we call them bank accounts, all of these different bank accounts for keywords. Every time a sale happens, you're going to get some credit for that main keyword, something that someone actually searched for to arrive and buy that product, but you're also going to get credit for all of these other keywords. So in this example, dog hat, right? Someone searches for dog hat, and then someone buys the product, or they take an action, like they click into your listing, or they end up buying the product, you're going to get credit for a whole group of keywords, right? Potentially all of these other keywords here. And so what's really important to understand is part of how the algorithm is going to assign credit, how you're going to get credit into these bank accounts. Part of it is the action, right, that's taken. But then the other part of it is what your title contains. Your title is really a tool that is used for indexing you across the range of keywords, right? And as your title is more specific and as it has different match types, you're going to get more and more credit, which is going to help you get indexed for a large range of keywords. So again, if a customer searches something like dog hat, if our title contains hats for dogs, I don't know if we messed this up. Yeah, so if a customer searches for dog hat and our title contains hats for dogs, it's telling me that this is a 100%, this is an exact match 100%, but it's not. It's actually backwards. So this should say if it was like, if our title contains dog hat, then we would get a 100% credit. If we have hat for dog, that's kind of, yeah, I think it should be hats for dog, it should say there. But if someone searches for dog hat and then our title contains hat for dogs, we're going to get a 70% credit for that. It's going to be, because this is a broad match. And then if someone would type in something like red hats for dogs, right, we're going to get even less credit because we're getting phrase and plural credit. And I think we show it here, right? So what this actually should have said, I think up here at the top, instead of if someone searches for dog hats and you add hats for dogs, right, that's not going to be an exact match. It's going to be a broad match because the words, it has the same words, but they're in different order. Okay, so I know that slide was a little bit messy, but the whole point of it is that as you have these different match types in your title, you're going to get larger ranking credit. We call it ranking juice inside a data dive, but you're going to get larger ranking credit for these different keywords, right? So an exact match, we're saying that that's going to give us 100% credit. A plural match is going to give us 70% credit. A phrase match is going to give us 50% credit. And a broad match is going to give us 30% credit, right? And then today we're focusing all on title. Next week, we're going to spend a little bit more time of how you can go and distribute these keywords across your entire listing. But the reason that we're focusing on title first and foremost is because the title is going to be the strongest credit that you're going to get for having these keywords, right? Right. Title is going to be the strongest. Further ahead in your title, earlier in your character account is going to weigh even more, right? Bullets are going to be your second strongest. Back-end search terms are going to be the next after that, indexing up to the first 150 characters. And then your description or your A+ content is going to be the weakest. So when we're thinking about where in our listing we want to prioritize these keywords, and Data Dive is going to help you do this by adjusting the weights in terms of ranking juice, title is going to be our biggest priority. The most important keywords, the most important roots, we want it in our title. And then we also want it in an exact match in our title, right? We can have it as a plural match. We can have it as a phrase match, but we really want to focus, especially during launch, is having as many exact match roots in our title. Then we can go and try to fill out the rest of the listing. So I think we're going to go through another example here, trying to help you determine which title is going to get more credit. This might be beating a horse to death, but I also get on a lot of calls, a lot of training calls with teams, and they seem to miss this, pretty straightforward part of how the algorithm works. So if a customer searches for dog hat, right, and we have the competitor listing and your listing, if they have the exact keywords in the title, and they don't have dog hat at all in the bullet points versus our listing, right? We have no keywords at all in the title, right? So we don't have dog hat in an exact form in the title, but we do have the exact keywords in the bullet points. Out of these two listings, which one is going to get more credit, right? This shouldn't be hard. It's pretty straightforward, but really like to drive this point home. Obviously, the competitor is going to get more ranking juice credit because they have the exact match of the keyword. They're getting 100% ranking juice credit. And it's also positioned in the title, which is the strongest position, right? So I'm not going to spend any more time on this. I feel like it's pretty straightforward. What I'm trying to drill home here, right? You want to have keywords in exact matches in your title, the primary ones that you're looking for, right? So as we all know, the way that Data Dive works is all focused on roots. And when we're talking about roots, a root is two or more words, which is a unique way of describing a product, right? So we're looking here at this toiletry bag. On the right-hand side, we're showing you the roots tab, and we've already started to identify the different roots, the different two or more word phrases, right? Two or more words, which is a unique way of identifying this product. So toiletry bag women, travel toiletry bag man, right? You can see these here. The reason that we wouldn't consider bag woman a root is because no one conceivably is going to type in bag woman, find this product, and then ultimately buy our product, right? It's too broad. It's two or more words that is a way of describing something, but it's not two or more words, which is a way of describing our product. Travel bag, for example, is still a little bit too general, right? This could refer to a suitcase. This could refer to a cosmetic bag. It could refer to something that you're going to put some luggage in, right? It's too general, which is why travel bag is not a root. Travel toiletry bag, that is something that people could conceivably search for and then ultimately end up buying our product. So the whole point about data dive is we focus on roots, right? And I'm going to leave this slide up for just another minute, because what's important to understand how data dive conceptualizes roots is that we don't care about just the keyword or the phrase or the root toiletry bag. What makes this important to us is that toiletry bag is a root which includes 215 other keywords with a broad search volume of 374,000. So when we're writing our title and we have toiletry bag in an exact form in the title, we're not only going to increase our organic rank for toiletry bag, we're going to increase our organic rank for all 215 keywords inside of this root. And then we're going to get credit for this entire broad search volume. Same thing with this toiletry bag women. We don't just care about those 3 words. We care about the fact that this root contains 31 other keywords with a broad search volume of 124,000, right? So when we're writing our titles, we need to focus on roots, and we need to focus on putting these in our title. And then more specifically, we need to focus on putting these in our title in an exact form so that we're getting the highest amount of credit possible. So when we're talking about roots, these are common issues that people have when they don't include the correct keyword roots in their title. First and foremost is you can confuse Amazon's ranking algorithm. We're going to get to this when we talk about should you keyword stuff, should you not keyword stuff. The risk with not being direct and having good root coverage in your title is you actually have the potential to confuse Amazon's ranking algorithm, and the potential that you might actually get grouped with keywords that are not relevant to what you're trying to sell. The other thing that's going to happen is you're going to have no rank for keywords contained in the missing root. So imagine this earlier example here. You might not be thinking about this, and I might totally forget to have cosmetic travel bag in my title. And what's going to happen there is, it's not only going to hurt me for ranking for cosmetic travel bag, these other 3 keywords that are contained in this root, very high probability that I'm not going to rank for those keywords as well. And so you're going to see these gaps, right? That's what's going to happen when you don't fully cover the root. And then the last thing is you're going to have trouble ranking for certain keywords, right? Again, if you are not reinforcing that root, I could have these other 3 keywords that are part of this root for cosmetic travel bag, and I might get one of those keywords and I might get credit for one of those keywords. But if I have forgotten to cover the root, it's going to be hard, again, to rank for that group. You got to think about how the Amazon algorithm works. Is it's trying to put all these keywords into clusters, right? It's trying to put these keywords into clusters based on relevancy to try to determine what actually is it that you're selling, and then match that with buyer intent and what people are searching for. So I think I just swapped out all of the titles on these, which is why I'm having a little bit of trouble. I'll have to go and add in some more comprehensive titles here later. But this is what it's going to look like when roots are not represented in the listing initially, and then you go back later and you rewrite them after you launch, right? So what you're going to see is you're going to see no history for the root for a very, very long time. You go and you rewrite your listing, you put in that root, ideally in an exact form in your title, and then like magic, you start ranking for these, right? So important to keep in mind after rewriting the listing to include the correct root representation, what's going to happen, right? This is all these big case studies that you see where someone's, we have one where someone made $100,000 in a day from changing up their title with Data Dive. What's happening here is they have a lot of historical performance for these keywords, right? But because they didn't have that root written into their title, they don't have a ranking for it. They're not indexed for those keywords. They go back, they rewrite their title, and then all of a sudden now their rank is increasing. It's going to benchmark your historical performance, and it's going to place you where you belong, right? So that's what's going to happen there. So this is just another descriptor of kind of how all of this works, right? Again, remember, all of these are multipliers, right? So as we go further down this list, you can think that the credit that's going to be placed into the bank account trying to rank for these keywords is going to go down. So highest up on the list, the most important, the biggest priority is going to be title, followed by bullets, followed by description. Then we have our match type multiplier. Remember, like we showed on that earlier slide, the highest credit, 100% credit, is going to be an exact match, right? This should be on the next line here, but exact, followed by broad, followed by phrase, followed by plural. And so we're going to take these two numbers and then we're going to multiply it times the broad search volume. And that's what's going to allow us to calculate ranking juice. You don't really have to spend too much time to reverse engineer how a ranking juice works, but you can just imagine, right? You're going to get the most ranking juice for having something in your title in an exact form. And then you're going to do that for the root with the largest combined search volume, the largest aggregate search volume, right? Versus if I put something in my bullets with an exact match on that same keyword, it's going to be less. And so you can kind of think who's going to get the most credit based on these location multipliers, based on the match type multiplier, and based on the broad search volume, right? I don't think I'd really need to state this, but just to really drive the point home, we want to prioritize our routes that have the highest broad search volume, right? We can go focus on any of those routes on the list, but when we're starting off to begin, we want to try to get as much credit as we can across the largest range of keywords with the largest search volume, right? So the pro tip is just to maximize ranking juice. You want to maximize the location times the multiplier and then pick the keywords with the largest broad search volume. So I always like to say it's really that simple. Now we're going to go through a few examples of kind of different titles, and hopefully this is going to help you understand at what phase you are. Depending on what phase you are as a seller, you're going to take different actions when it comes to optimizing your title and your title coverage. So two different ways to do iterative testing, right? It's going to be a little bit different whether you're starting a new product, you're launching a new product, and you're kind of setting up your title from the beginning, versus if you're a little bit further down the road and you're doing post-launch optimization. So if you're launching a new product and you want to create a really killer title that's going to help you get indexed for hundreds, if not thousands of keywords within the first few days of launching a product, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start your dive by selecting your product. You won't have a product yet. Yeah, your product won't be live. I think sorry if these slides are a little bit messed up, but basically what you're going to want to do is these two should be switched. But when you launch a new product, you're going to want to create your title, you're going to want to start your dive by selecting 15 plus relevant competitors. Then, like I always show in office hours, I don't think we're going to do this today. You're going to want to clean up your MKL, that's your master keyword list, and you're going to want to exclude any non-relevant keywords or any branded search terms. Once you've cleaned up your master keyword list, then you can be sure that all of the keywords that are shown in your MKL, these are the most important keywords for this niche. And so what you're going to do after that is you're going to go over into the roots tab and you're going to try to identify what are the keyword roots that are driving the largest aggregate search volume for this niche. So we showed it a few minutes ago with the toiletry bag, right? You're going to go through and you're going to say, okay, here's my first biggest root, second biggest root, and you're going to go all the way down that list to identify your roots. Then in step 4, this is where you actually write your title. Then you're going to use Listing Builder, and it's very, very simple. All you're going to try to do is you're going to build a title with the strongest root coverage as possible, and you're going to want to have exact matches, right? Then once you run out of space in your title, let's say you've got like 5 or 6 roots there, right? You can fit those into your title. And then once you have exhausted that, now you start moving down into your bullet points. And we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Now, post-launch is a little bit different because you've already launched your product, right? Now you want to try to gauge and see, how am I doing relative to the other competitors? That's why this box here should be switched. I'll switch that after the call today. But really important is that you want to do the dive with 15 plus competitors, but you also now want to include your product in the dive. Really important that you include your product, so that way you can see how your ranking compares to everyone else. So step 2 is going to be the same. Okay, just want to say this again because it might be missed. Make sure in post-launch optimization, you are always including your product because you want to see how it's benchmarked relative to everyone else. So once you've started your dive and selected your competitors, step 2 is the same. You're going to clean up that MKL. And then now, instead of going to the roots tab, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the MKL and you're going to identify, out of all of the keywords in the MKL, you're going to filter by search volume so that the keywords with the largest search volume are up at the top. You're going to analyze your MKL and you're going to identify gaps in keyword indexing. You're going to see this on the slide after this one. But basically, you're looking to see, okay, I'm ranked for this, ranked for this, ranked for this, not indexed. not indexed, not indexed. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to look at the group of keywords that you're not indexed for. And then after that, you can go into the roots tab and say, wait a minute, is the reason that I'm not indexed for these 3 or 4 other keywords is because I'm missing having the root covered in my title. That's going to be the issue a majority of the time. So as you identify these keyword gaps that are high up, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rewrite your title one word at a time. You don't want to go and totally build an entirely new title unless your first title is really bad. Let's say you didn't have any root coverage. You might have to start from scratch. But most people that have some of the relevant keyword roots in their title, they're just missing out on certain ones. There's just certain gaps. And so the step 4 is you're going to rewrite the title one word at a time using exact matches for the low performing roots. And then, so this is for the post-launch optimization, right? We kind of have this decision tree at the end, right? As you're rewriting your title one word at a time, using exact matches for these low performing roots, there's only going to be 3 things that are going to happen here. Either thing number 1 is organic rank is going to go up, right? Woohoo! You party a little bit, right? That's good. You're going to maintain that title until the increase levels off, right? Remember this that I was showing you earlier? It's like you had no rank, no rank, no rank, right? You rewrite the title to include the exact form of the root, the rank goes up, and then you're going to see at some point, right? It's just going to level off. So once you get to the point of something leveling off, that's when you can say, okay, I've now increased my rank for that keyword. Maybe I can drop this to a lower priority area of the listing, like my bullets, my search terms, maybe even my description, and it's probably going to still maintain that position. But now what I can do is I can go and try a new keyword there in the title in that prime position, hitting that exact form. So that's if your organic rank improves, you're going to maintain it until the increase levels off. If the organic rank stays neutral, then you just try a different keyword, right? You just swap that out. And then if the organic rank decreases, you can just revert to a previous title. Now, I've shared this example a few times, but there was a comment, a question rather, inside Inner Circle. That's our private Facebook group for Seller System students. And someone was like, I went and changed my entire title. And then overnight, they had organic ranks for a whole bunch of different keywords drop. And that would probably deter a lot of people. The good news, though, is that after he saw all these drops in all these different keywords, he just reverted to his old title. And then because he had this historical performance on the listing, within just a few days, he was back to the same spot as he was. So a few weeks ago, we had a case study that we shared of someone who made a title change. They saw a bunch of increase, like 2x the brand. That seller, they changed their entire title. It was like a totally different title from what they had previously. That person was very risk prone, right? They're totally fine with taking risks on the listing. And in that case, they saw really big gains. You can do that. You can change your entire title. You just have to understand that if the rank improves, it's going to be really good. If the organic rank decreases, it's going to be bad. The good news is you can recover from this. What we recommend is changing one keyword at a time, right? Seeing it improve. Once it levels off, you try a different keyword. This is all about iterative testing, doing things slowly. You're going to see these changes for keyword rank happen within a few hours, and you're going to see the full impact happen within a few days. So the good news is it's not like manager experiments where you have to wait weeks to see any kind of results. These results are going to happen really fast. So this is kind of getting into, I think I show this in a different slide, but question that we get a lot of the time is like, should I be creating a title that is stuffed with keywords, or should I be creating a title that is highly readable? And the answer is, it really depends what phase of the business you are in and what phase of selling that you're in. The really short way of explaining this is when you're starting off and you're launching a product, you really want to have as many of those main keyword roots in your title as possible, because these are the early days of selling. You want to work very, very quickly to index for these keywords and improve your organic rank for these keywords. As time goes on, right, you're going to find that your rank is going up and up and up and up and up. And there's going to come a point where you've accumulated so much credit into these bank accounts, you've accumulated so much historical performance that you can actually remove keywords out of your title. You can move them into other parts of the listing. And what you're going to find, you have to test this for yourself, but what you're going to find is that those keyword ranks are going to maintain. So what we see here, this strike through is just, it's basically taking out anything for these titles, and this is for a garlic press. It's basically taking out anything that is not helping with ranking. So for example, you'll see garlic press here, garlic mincer tool, garlic paste, garlic crusher, and ginger press. These are all keywords that people are actually searching for, right? You can see that these are getting search volume every month. The thing with the strike through are things that are not necessarily helping from a ranking perspective, right? Largely, people are not searching for the brand name. They're not searching for with soft, easy to squeeze ergonomic handle. They're not searching for with sturdy design extracts, right? Versus this title down here, you can see there's a lot less strike through because it's really only, this is a keyword stuff title, right? We have the brand name and we have kitchen utensils, right? People generally aren't searching for these kitchen utensils. It's a little bit too broad for this product. And so this is all just keywords in the title, right? I'm going to explain these 4 phases in just a minute. I think next time I have to put that first. But the whole point, though, is even with this stuff title here, this is really good. It's covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, either 6 or 7 roots in this title. The point, though, is that even with this title, currently they're at 130 characters. Everyone knows you have 200 available characters that you can use. That's what all these X's are for. So even with the same basis of a title, this person could make their title a little bit more readable. When you're launching, though, we're gonna suggest that you try to do as wide root coverage as you possibly can. So earlier, I think I need to put this slide first next time, this whole thing about phases of the business. But what I'm trying to get to the point is like, why can this seller here be a lot more flexible on their title versus, I mean, this is a brand with 100,000 reviews. This is a brand that's still on page 1 doing well with a very stuffed title, but they only have 50 reviews. And the way that I try to rationalize it is, and when keyword stuffing is more and less okay, is it really depends on the phase of the business that you're in. So imagine this as a really slimmed down version of the master keyword list, okay? Where, okay, this is your product here, this is your ASIN, and this is showing us the percentage of keywords that this seller is ranked for on the MKL. So the percentage of keywords that the seller is ranked on page 1 for, this seller's at 4%, this one's at 43%, 84%, and 91%. And so the point that I'm trying to make here, and this is actually pulled from Iterative, is that you're going to notice that for this seller who's just starting off, they're ranked for almost no keywords at all, or ranked on page 1 for almost no keywords at all. They are not indexed for almost any keywords whatsoever, right? You're going to see here, they're all green and it's blanked, which means not indexed. So when you're just launching and you're in this phase 1, I call it indexing. When you're in this phase, you're going to have most likely a more keyword stuff title because you have a limited amount of characters. And every single time that someone makes an action, whether that is a click into your listing, whether that's an add to cart, whether that's them buying the product, now these are going to be potential for me to send signals back to Amazon like, hey, I want to go from not being indexed at all for these keywords that I want to start actually being ranked for these keywords. So this list, they don't have a rank. Now, further on, this person is ranked for 43% of the MKL on page 1. This is where you can start to optimize for ranking, right? You're still going to have a title that's pretty keyword stuffed. You're starting to get you're indexed for a lot more keywords here, but there's still a lot of gaps, right? So before I would start adding in all of this extra language that might make the title a little bit more readable, right? I'm going to still be focusing on, wait a minute, in my title, am I missing out on keywords or roots that are related to these? As well, I'm going to ask myself, okay, I'm in position 78. It's better than being not indexed at all for these keywords, but is the keyword root that's related to this keyword or this keyword or this keyword, do I have it in the most ideal position, title, and do I have it in the most ideal match form, exact? Right? So at this point, I'm still going to be keyword stuffing. I'm still going to have a lot of keywords in my title. I might have some fillers. I'm still going to use dashes. I might have some filler words in there to make it a little bit more readable. But at phase 1 and phase 2, my primary purpose is just getting off the ground, right? I need to get from 4% to 43%. I want to be this guy here. I want to get to 80+% of those keywords. I want to be one of those very strong sellers when it comes to my ranking in Iterative. So now we move from phase 2 to phase 3. This is where you should start focusing on optimizing for readability, right? Probably not here. You can start thinking about it here. This is where it's really okay to start focusing on it. And so now what you have is you have high organic rankings for a lot of these. You still have a couple gaps. And so again, this is where I'm really going to be asking myself, I can still have some readable words. I've got 200 characters to play with here. Now I'm not trying to focus on like, I need to get this root in here, this root in here, or in this case, I need to get all of these roots or keywords into my title. Now it's like, okay, I'm ranked already pretty well. There's only a couple gaps. Now I can start to add in some of these keywords that are going to make it a little bit more readable, right? Once you get here into the end, this is like phase 4, I call it optimized conversion. Okay, this person's just killing it. They're ranked on page 1 for 91% of the master keyword list, right? All of these that it's showing here in the top 10 are single digit rankings, which is really good. At this point, right, I've accumulated so much history. I'm doing very, very well in my niche. Now I can really make probably half of my title keywords that are not even relevant to what people are searching for, because as I move those into other parts of my listing, like my bullet points, my search term, my description, it's not like my rank is just going to overnight, Amazon's going to forget that whatever this keyword is, dog hat, it's just going to forget that I'm a dog hat, right? Because I've accumulated all of this, ranking credit for these keywords, right? Now I can start to shorten my title. I can start to put in things that are going to make it more readable. And so that was probably a really long explanation. You can let me know in the chat if this is making sense. But like, this is why this brand Zule Kitchen, right? They don't need to be focused on every single keyword that they have in their title. They can put in these long strings of keywords that are going to make it much more readable. And the reason why is because they are in phase 4, right? They can do whatever they want with their title. They could probably go to a shorter title. They could keep a long title that is more readable. And now you can actually optimize for conversion optimization, right? How the listing is actually going to convert. So I think this is just recapping what I showed here. But again, right, when you're in indexing phase, you don't have rank for anything. You need those keywords in exact forms in your title. Your biggest priority is not trying to have a short title, not trying to have a super readable title. You want that juice, right? You want as much ranking credit as possible. As you get into phase 2, you're going to have some ranks, but the ranks are going to be relatively low, like 78. These are all, page 2 at this point, right? So these are low ranks. We are still focusing on making sure we have the correct keywords in our title. Only when we get into phase 3, that's when we're going to start saying, okay, we're feeling pretty good about this, right? We have some ranks, but there's still going to be gaps. And then when we get into phase 4, right, then you really can take a lot more liberties when it comes to creating a title. So I think that's where we're going to wrap it for right now, and we're going to jump into Q&A. We're right at 35 minutes after. So this is your motivation to join us for office hours next week. What we're going to cover in next week's office hours is how to prioritize keywords across the rest of the listing. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit today. Then thing number 2 is I want to talk about when it's appropriate to start A/B testing your title using Manage Your Experiments. This is the split testing tool inside Amazon, right? I think a lot of people, when it comes to doing this, are probably testing MYE on their titles a little bit too early. And then I'm also going to go through hands-on experience. We're going to do 3 practical examples next week where we have a title, and I'm going to kind of walk you through, okay, we do this to the title, this is what happens, and we're going to kind of go through a decision tree, and we'll pick one at like 3 different phases. So it's not just going to be super well-performing listings. We're going to get like a brand new launch title. We're going to get one in like phase 2 or phase 3, and then we'll get one in phase 4.